Alright, let's do this. Hello everyone, my name is Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site for legacy death and taxes. And today I'm going to try something interesting that I saw. I don't know that it's good, but it's really neat. So, this is a deck that is a hybrid between Red Prison and Painter Grindstone. So Painter Grindstone and Red Prison have a lot of overlap cards, right? So this deck tries to fall into a reasonable overlap category between the two decks by playing the traditional like Rabble Masters and War Bosses of Red Prison, but also building in an Imperial Recruiter package. So in addition to just finding those Goblin Friends, or a Spirit Guide if you're really in a pinch, it can also find a Goblin Crater Maker, Revoker, Ballista, P&K, or Magus of the Moon. In order to fit this stuff into the main deck, it trims a lot of other cards. So like you had to make room for, I guess 7 slots here. So like you're down a Chrome Mox, you're down a Trinisphere, you're down a Chandra, you're down a couple of Fiery Confluences. Maybe you're not playing more Magus of the Moons. But it gives you a lot of flexibility. The main deck might not be like super interesting, but when you look at the sideboard, then you have Painter Servant, Grindstone, and Pyroblasts. So for matchups where your threat base of like, say, Goblin Rabblemaster and Legion War Bosses aren't necessarily good, you can board in this little package here, and all of a sudden you have transformed into a very different sort of deck. And it might, sort of bob and weave past some of the traditional, counter hate that you might see. The sideboard has like some of the traditional stuff. Otherwise, like it's got some graveyard hate, and it's got like Batterskull and Karn as well, allowing it to go like bigger in terms of aggro. The reason why I wanted to try this out tonight was mostly to see like conceptually what ideas here are good and what ideas here are bad. Because I'm very intrigued by this transformational sideboard, but I think it has some problems. Because, like, Chalice of the Void gets set on 1, Grindstone and Pyroblast are 1. So I don't know how that exactly is going to play out tonight, but I'm sort of curious to see. And that's kind of the big reason why I'm trying this out. I want to see if we can grind some people to death tonight. Or if, like, the Red Prison side of the deck is just going to be the better side of the deck, and, I should ignore the tech that I'm seeing here. But this shell from the GP was too interesting to ignore. It was one of the top 32 deck lists, I believe. I believe it was a Brock M's deck list. Alright, Competitive Legacy League with a whopping 106 active players. Let's do it. I'm excited. We just got the Moto update pushed today, which I believe means that we're going to get the war cards starting tomorrow. El Viejo, you say? No legacy data on this player. I can do a turn 1 Chalice. Accordingly, I will keep this hand. Signs are good so far. If this is like a Reanimator deck or something, putting the Chalice on 1 is a good start. Definitely not the be-all, end-all here or anything. That was just a deck thinning fetch. They know they're going to want the basic swamp. Oh, am I actually just going to be playing against a control deck? I'm getting hemmed, and I lost both of my threats. That's okay. My Blood Moons have probably lost all of their impact this game, though, unfortunately. So accordingly, I'm going to play a Trinisphere rather than a Blood Moon this turn. Force Pitch Ponder. Man, why do they always have the Jace when I'm playing this deck? I'm not very well suited to just, like, beating this Jace currently. I'm not quite at the point where I'm ready to just, like, concede, but I'm close. If our opponent's that good, though, we might have a chance. I think this will be a match where I will try out the transformational sideboard plan of Painter Servant. Like, the Pyroblasts answer Jace, which is a problem card on its own. Good to know that my opponent has 4 basics. Alright. I don't think I'm coming back from, like, being hellbent against Jace. Like, especially when there's a blocker on the board already. Let's not waste anybody's time here. So, if I'm going to play this Painter stuff, I need these cards. I also would not hate having these cards. So if I'm going to play the Pyroblasts and the Grindstones, that means I probably board out my Chalices. I don't really think I need Ensnaring Bridges against a deck like this. When I'm on the draw, I'll probably just, like, get rid of my Blood Moons. I don't know that I want to get rid of them when I'm on the play. Alright, what is Goblin Crater Maker doing? Goblin Crater Maker essentially gets a Baleful Strix out of the way so something else can get through. I'm not overly excited about that. I'm not overly excited about Magus of the Moon. On the draw, I definitely want these out. On the play, it's still a very powerful early play. So maybe when I'm on the play, I'll trim my Revoker because I'm bringing in, you know, Pyroblasts and Spyglass as answers to Jace. Maybe I'll get rid of this on the play. I'll probably want it on the draw to get, you know, Baleful Strix and Friends out of the way. And then maybe I'll just trim a couple threats. Alright, I can see this working. The sideboard plan's really weird. I also maybe don't want to get rid of all of my Blood Moons just for my own mana base reasons. Yikes. I don't think Triple Grindstone is a good keep. So I'll go ahead and mulligan. So what can I do? I can go Land, imprint something, Spirit Guide, Blood Moon on turn 1. I will keep that. I want the P and K in deck for later. I'm going to go ahead and ship that. Like, I'm going to want to recruiter that up in all likelihood at some point. I'm going to keep the Chandra because it's the highest upside card. Alright, Force Pitch Jace. So be it. Have the Thoughtseize too? Yeah. Man, we would have gotten, like, Blood Moon. Or I guess if the Blood Moon resolved, then we wouldn't have gotten the Chandra. Alright, Anemic Beats it is. There's some world where I want to hold this back so it can't get hit by Snapcaster, but the most likely thing they could have in terms of burn damage would just be like a Culligan's Command, and that won't actually kill the Chandra. So I'm going to go ahead and stay aggressive. No, I'm not like back to prison. This deck list is just so weird that I had to try it out. Like, I don't know if this is good. Alright, so they actually do have Lightning Bolt. I will be super punished for my play if they just play a Snapcaster Mage as an Ambush Viper. But if they do that, like, it's just potentially worse than them just going... Yep, alright. It's kind of frustrating how hard I get punished for this attack. But if my opponent doesn't have a removal spell here because they burned the Lightning Bolt on the Chandra, this can spiral out of control as well. Never mind. No attack here. At this point, I just kind of want to have this on the table as cannon fodder, essentially. Like, if my opponent has a Diabolic Edict, I want to have this around. Super unfortunate that we showed that Grindstone early. Well, that's an annoyance. Our opponent's done very well for not having any cantrips. You're attacking me? Yeah, I'll take that. So now I think I want to attack with the Spirit Guide, because I don't want to give my opponent the opportunity to, like, draw a removal spell, take my guy off the battlefield, and then I'm going to be hit for 4 a turn. Jeez, do you have this another Jace after all of that? That's frustrating. I will go ahead and put that into play. But I expect this game's over. Like, now my opponent just gets to brainstorm. You know, one of my best win conditions is off here. I can draw Pyroblast and get rid of the Jace, but the tempo damage probably has been done here. So I'm going to go ahead and just play this Trinister out before playing my City of Traders. If I draw another mountain, I would much rather have that in play and then play the city later, because, like, I do have some things, especially Recruiter of the Guard, which would love to have 6 mana rather than 4 or 5. Regarding, you know, London Mulligan and D&T, I have not felt good about playing D&T on Magic Online since the London Mulligan testing started. It just does not feel like a good place to be. You know, on paper, the results are very obvious. You know, all right, this is a good draw. Not gonna play around Spell Pierce at this point. We're just gonna, or I guess I don't have to. Forgot my own Transfer for a second there. Force, push, Snapcaster. Unfortunately for me, like, since my opponent has a Fatal Push and a Force, that does shut off a huge percentage of my outs, and I'll probably just get aggroed out by this. Yeah, so, like, now I get hit for 3, literally whatever I draw gets forced, and I die. Oh, or they just... Alright. They drew insanely well. No... I had no shot at winning that game. Yeah, I saw Mark's 5-0 list. It reminds me of the, like, spicy popcorn deck he was trying around a while back. And it's also very similar to, like, the mono-white D&T version of that I played on his stream. It's neat, but I think it's going to be another one of those decks where, like, Bahara can crush with it for some reason, and then everyone else tries to go and pick it up, and it just, like, doesn't work. I'll be keeping this hand. You know, we can turn 1 Chalice into turn 2 Blood Moon. My opponent is a fan of the stream. Are you an Elves player? Are you a fan of my stream? Are you bringing little green men into my... Okay, great. Goblins! That is acceptable. Alright. So... this Blood Moon now is significantly less good, so let's ship that under a Chrome Mox. Then I can Imperial Recruiter to have a blocker so the Goblin Lackey can't get through. I got a huge what from the chat there. Well, let's get a Walking Ballista. That seems great. Ugh, Wasteland. Wasteland's gonna do me dirty. Yeah, I really like that mountain. That is a good mountain, Bosk. I'm with you there. So, what am I most scared of? I am probably most scared of Gem Palm Incinerator, kill my recruiter, go in with Goblin Lackey, and put in some big stupid 4 or 5 drop. So I think I just go ahead and throw the Ballista out there on 1. And I don't think I'm going to attack. I don't want to use the Ballista to kill the Lackey. But I will if I have to. Goblin Pile Driver. Sure thing. Alright, friend. Do you think you're the Goblins player? We'll see if you're right. I have my own Goblins. So the kind of cool thing about this is I do actually have a Goblin Crater Maker activation up. If I really need it, I can pitch the Spirit Guide. My opponent says, betrayed by my own kind. Ooh, Black Splash Goblins. There might be, like, Earwig Squad in there. Alright, there's a Goblin Matron. I don't know how bad this is going to be. Like, it could be, like, Sharpshooter, which is a little annoying on the board. Could just be value. A Chain Whirler. That seems pretty okay. So if I play out my Rabble Master, what kind of happens? When my opponent plays the Chain Whirler, they get to get rid of a Goblin token. If they start attacking in, it's not that big of a deal. So my Walking Ballista is probably trading for Goblin Lackey next turn. The other thing I can do is just wait around to Fiery Confluence their board and not deploy a Rabble Master. Like, the Rabble Master's not really doing a ton. So I think I'm okay with that plan. My opponent is on to me. They have asked if this is the GP deck list that looked strange. Alright. Do I just want to trade this Crater Maker for the Pile Driver? That seems fine. Like, I kind of want to just Confluence their board away anyway. Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and take a little hit here. Hopefully it incentivizes my opponent to play out a few more cards. Berserk? Yeah, a land would be pretty great. Fuck. So that's a little slow. Now I probably need to, like, play out this Magus so that I'm protected from Rishadenport, which sucks, because then if I Fiery Confluence it away, I've lost, like, that ground again. Yeah, I got that land I wanted. Sure did. Oh, wow. My opponent has been streaming for 5.5 hours. That's insane. Good on you. This is brutal. But if I get that land and I kill all the little goblin friends, that'd be cool. Land! Hmm. Well, we tried. We're certainly not built to beat a matchup like this one, right? Like, that's just not really in the cards. Like, Chalice is bad. Trinisphere is bad. Blood Moon is not good, but, like, we might be forced to keep it in anyway, just to, like, protect our lands from, like, ports and wastelands. Port in particular. Am I painting? I feel like I have a lot of bad cards, so painting might be okay. Like, we can be the combo deck versus Goblins, which is an okay place to be. It's not really like Rabblemaster and Warboss are going to be getting the job done anyway, right? Like, my opponent is just going to clog the board. So I could bring in, like, these, and consider Sorcerer Spyglass for Bile. Although, as a one-of, this may just not be good enough. I guess it can also name Trashmaster, though, and that's relevant. Alright, let's get this in here somehow. You know, I do have a dream of putting a Batterskull on a Goblin Rabblemaster and then gaining, like, 30 life. That sounds sweet. And, yeah, this list is weird. Sure, Trinisphere is not that bad, but it's also not that good. So what am I hoping to mulligan into? Because this is not really a strong hand. So I probably need to ship it. Like, I just feel like I'm going to get run over if I keep this. Well, that one's no good either. This one I'll keep. We have Painter, Servant, and Grindstone. We have a plan. So I need to ship 2 of these. If things go wrong, I want Fiery Confluence. Alright, friend. I'm going to try to paint you. Let's see what you got going on. I would love to draw a Pyroblast. Alright, you get 1 turn. You get 1 turn. Boo! I tried. Boo confirmed. Alright, how bad was that? That was bad. That was very bad. Yikes. Yikes. Alright, so I can take my opponent off of black mana, stabilizing this, but if I do that, all I'm really doing, they don't even have that Volrest Stronghold. Alright, the world where I see myself winning this is my opponent overcommitting, and then I get to blow them out with Fiery Confluence. I think I have to play out the Ballista, because I think it will incentivize them to, like, get rid of it. And if they don't get rid of it, I get time. Oh wait, that was War Chief. War Chief is fine. How greedy am I? Very greedy. So, like, I can block a Lackey, Ballista a Lackey, and then essentially buy myself another turn. Let's do that. Because this will look like a desperation play. When maybe it's not. Am I playing Mr. Rabblemaster? I don't think I am. I think we scream Yu-Gi-Oh! And hope that we draw the land next turn. Alright, you have 2 cards left. One of them is the Gem Palm Incinerator. The other is a Ringleader. No! Oh, God! No! Please play out more cards. Please play out more cards. So our opponent was dead for prizes, so they have scooped to us. Yeah, I mean, and sometimes you have those leagues, right, where, like, everything's kind of a disaster. And that's fine. Deck! Why? We are playing against the Chiggy Wig. Last seen playing Infect a while back. I will be keeping this hand. And I will be playing a turn 1 Blood Moon. We'll imprint the Spirit Guide. That's the worst card in our hand here. And we'll see what happens. Boo! It did force them to pitch a Blighted Agent, though. Hopefully they don't have another dude. That one I don't care about. Hey, is P&K good against Infect? Let's find out, chat. Let's find out. Hey, Goblin Lackey, thank you very much for the raid. Good game. I got obliterated. Your game 2 draw there was absolutely disgusting. Like, it was really good before the ringleader, and then that ringleader happened. Just gross. Alright. So, I can just start hucking things at this Glistener Elf. Which I don't hate, because, like, my opponent has played that card out, making me think that they have some protection spell available. So, throwing a Thopter probably will not work, but I am incentivized heavily to try it. I think I'm going to hold the P&K back. There's some weird situations that involve blocking that I maybe don't want to put myself into. Target a Glistener Elf, pay 3. And I think a Thopter goes before the Chrome Mox. Again, I do not expect this to work, but I expect this to get me a card. Yeah, there we go. Long streams are hard. Like, that's why I usually try to cut my streams off at about 10 o'clock after about 3 hours, because it's just tiring to do. So I think I'm going to take this hit. I don't expect to die here. I can, but I don't really expect it. Alright. So be it. I don't regret it. Like, if I would have blocked, they would have just, like, kicked Vines or Invigorated, and I would have lost the P&K anyway, and then I would have, you know, had an uphill battle. So I took a high upside play, and it didn't pay off. Yeah, I know. I know. It is what it is. Yeah, so, like, in terms of stream time, I'm really comfortable with 2 hours. Like, I feel like I've got my entire stride that entire time. At, you know, about 2.5, I start to get tired. And a lot of times, if I start pushing it past 3 hours, I just, I feel my energy level lower. Alright, how am I going to approach this matchup? Like, despite the fact that things didn't work out for us here, I think we have great tools. I don't even know that I'll sideboard all that much, honestly. Like, I could go into this Painter Grindstone thing, but I think I clock just as hard as they do, and I think basically my entire main deck is good against them. Like, the games I'm going to lose are the games where they just, like, have the nuts right away, but I feel fine about the matchup. I don't even think I'm going to sideboard anything. Like, I could board this for Inkmoth Nexus, but I have Blood Moons and Magus of the Moon to do that. And, like, Revoker is potentially better than it because it can shut off the Noble Hierarchs, which is the mana producer that they can use through Blood Moon. Ensnaring Bridge is kind of medium. Like, It's good if I can get Hellbent, but that's hard. And if I get Hellbent, like, I've probably already won. If we're being, like, totally honest. So let's do that and call it a day. So what am I doing? I am doing turn 1 Chalice. Yep, that's a keep. And I can even do it without, like, blowing a soul land, which I really like. And everybody's just got it tonight. I flopped something on the table on turn 1, and they're like, I'm sorry, I can't let you do that, Starfox. So I don't think I want to just Fiery Confluence away 1 Glistener Elf. Like, Force will beat that, Daze will beat that, Invigorate will beat that. So I'm going to go ahead and play out a Chalice here. Let's try to shut off the cantrips, see if that's good enough. Then we'll probably just die to our opponent having it because I chose this line. Berserk, don't say never lucky until he kills me this turn. Has been called. 1 damage to each creature. 4 damage to each opponent. I'm not going to play around like a mutagenic growth. If they have that, they can get me. Oh my gosh, it worked. Our chances of winning this game just skyrocketed. That's right, I don't have to play around mutagenic growth because I got this covered. I will 100% play the second one into a daze. It's so worth it. I think my opponent's just dead next turn. They go to 11 here, I make 4 goblins. Yeah, they're just going to get, like, 2-turned by these Rabble Masters. I've played against Infect a lot. I've probably played against Infect more than most people. Because, like, in Roanoke, we had a ton of Infect players. Like, Nick Miller's always on Infect. Tom Ross was always on Infect. And, like, a bunch of the SCG crew, like Brad and Tom, went through phases where they were playing that deck as well. So I had a ton of experience playing against that deck. I'm going to keep this hand. So I get to play a turn 1 Chalice into a turn 2 Recruiter into a turn 3 Walking Ballista. So the reason I'm just playing Moon Prison tonight is entirely because this deck list is wonky. I expect this is going to be the last time I play Red Prison for a little while, because I want to start mucking around with some of the War of the Spark stuff. If my opponent doesn't fetch a basic this turn, instead of Recruiter, I might just like slam my Magus of the Moon. There is going to be some new stuff on Thraben University. I took Monday off in order to go and get some new stuff up on the site. So, like, I redid the deck lists, I updated the recommended reading, and put, like, Anna Voltson's sideboarding guide up there. And I'll have an interview with one of the people who top 8'd the GP next week, as well as an article from him. So my opponent was willing to force the last Chalice. Does that mean it's actually important? Let's play out another one. Alright, it resolves. Like, taking this turn off to play this Chalice is going to allow me to play these cards around a daze without, like, blowing a City of Traders. Which I think is going to be very good. Yeah, and if my opponent already had the basic, then, like, playing the Magus is of limited utility. Kiki-Jiki, I think there's going to be a lot of cards that are legacy playable from the set. I don't think there are going to be... Wow, still no plays from my opponent. I don't think there's going to be a ton of cards that are just, like, game-breaking, you know, warping legacy levels of good or anything. But I think there's going to be a lot of things that see play, you know. What is it, like, the Liliana's Edict is, like, a strict upgrade to Diabolic Edict. There's a new, like, red-black card that is going to probably see, like, sideboard play. Naturalize the Chalice. Sure. There's a lot of 3-mana Planeswalkers that have some degree of potential in the deck. Or not in the deck, in the format. Hydroblast. Sure. This kind of explains why my opponent was, like, what they had that would make them want to keep this hand. Like, they had 3 different pieces of interaction for my spells. They didn't have a way to win the game, now they do. But unfortunately for them, they are going to get ballisted. Yeah, Tomic is another good example of, like, a card that's going to see some play, but won't be game-changing. My life total be damned. I'm not going to play around days here. Fair. To finish that thought, if I don't play around days, I get the option to play around just about every piece of removal, or not removal, protection they could have other than days. So, I don't love my position, but I also don't hate it. Like, if our opponent doesn't have pump spells and they just have some clunk over there, you know, some cantrips or something like that, I'm actually in okay shape. Because I have a lot of removal to draw towards. Like, for example, any recruiter can go and get me Ballista. I have P and K to draw to. I have the Fiery Confluence, the Goblin Crater Maker. Pithing Needle resolves, friend. Which I assume we'll name Chandra Torch of Defiance. Yes. So that shuts off 3 of my outs. Is this just how this league is gonna go? This did really well at a GP, guys. I swear. Didn't make up this deck list. I'd totally take the blame for it if it was. If I did. I'm 1-1 currently, but I feel like I'm about to be 1-2. Deck. Deck, please. I am going to play this out for, like, naturalized reasons. I don't want this Nexus to get a hit in if my opponent has a naturalize. There was a time where we did desperately need mountains. That is correct. Alright, so now we're just going to be dead to literally... Well, not literally any pump spell. But, like, for example, an Invigorate at this point is lethal. I don't even think I'm going to play that. I think we have earned a Never Lucky, yes. Alright, alright. I again think that we were vastly favored in this matchup. I think Lady Luck is not wanting to give me kisses tonight. Oh yeah, I guess Legacy is not in my title tonight, so it's not showing up as a Legacy stream. That's unfortunate. I should change the name of my chat. Let me see. Oh, weird. It somehow shut that off. Oh, I bet it was because the OBS update got pushed out. So I bet that changed my settings. playing against Bob's Bread. Will I play a turn 1 Chalice and a turn 2 War Boss or a turn 2 Chandra? You bet I will. And I won't be playing the Chrome Mox on turn 1 in order to just kind of increase my flexibility for later turns. I'm probably... Well, maybe I will. Because I can go like Mountain Chrome Mox, Imprint, Chandra, Chalice. And then not take additional damage this turn in case it's a deck that's relevant against. Alright, I've talked myself into it. Yeah, thanks for letting me know that, chat. That's one of those things that it's very easy to miss if you're streaming. Well, super glad I played the Mox now. So this is probably a pseudo mirror. I assume my opponent's probably on like traditional red prison. Nope, Eldrazi. So they'll probably take my Fiery Confluence, but then I'll kill their Thought-Knot-Seer with Chandra. Nope, they took the War Boss. I mean, deal. I could cast a Chalice on 2 to stop little Eldrazi idiots, but my opponent clearly doesn't have any of those right now. So I think I'm just going to shoot their dome. Before this gets taken with a Thought-Knot-Seer. My opponent has this Ancient Tomb, which they might be forced to use for some of their cards. Alright. Oblivion Sower has gotten rid of my Walking Ballista. That's very good to know. Alright, Chandra, get me something sweet here. That qualifies. That 100% qualifies. So I think this is just a Moon Man moment, where I just greatly reduce the amount of mana that my opponent has and take them off of true colorless mana. This has a downside, though. They're not going to take more damage from the Ancient Tomb. If my opponent didn't take the Walking Ballista, I 100% would have gotten that. Like, the laser to the face just seems so good. I will chump block to get another use out of Chandra. I don't need to protect this card for very long to just do disgusting things to my opponent. Ensnaring Bridge. Hello. I will cast that. And I don't need to just play this Chalice yet in order to shrink Oblivion Sower or anything. So we'll just use this to sneak damage in. Who needs sleep when I can watch Phil rip an Ensnaring Bridge off the top of the deck to punish an Eldrazi player? I can cast that and still P and K, but I don't think I want to. like, the damage is just more relevant, and it means that P and K is a one-turn clock. The last couple of turns there went pretty well for me. Alright, I want this Batterskull. I want this Karn, and I will probably play Sorceress Spyglass as well, even though it's not amazing. Sometimes you need to shut off a Jitte or an opposing Walking Ballista or something. Cheers, have a good night. I don't want Chalice. That's going to be the worst card in this matchup. Trinisphere is bad. Blood Moon... Or not, sorry. Trinisphere is bad. Blood Moon effects are great, but, like, I don't have enough slots where I want to, like, do any of this stuff. I'm on the draw. Maybe Trinisphere is just, like, literally unplayable on the draw. In which case, I can play Painter's Servant as a 1/3 blocker. That doesn't feel good. Alright, I'm going to play 2 Painter Servants and 1 Grindstone because I do think they're better than the Trinispheres. Like, I think the Trinispheres are more likely to hinder me getting Hellbent for ensnaring bridge purposes than anything else. Alright, I'm keeping this hand. I'm going to play a turn 1 Grindstone. Scare my opponent a little bit. Alright, Kez, that is a really cool interaction. I've never had that happen before. Like, thank you for bringing that up. I haven't played enough Painter where I've seen that fringe interaction, but that's really cool. So in case anyone just doesn't intuit what Kez means there, Eye of Ugin lets you search for a colorless creature. So if you go and activate your Eye of Ugin, but there's a Painter out, all of those cards are some color. I could get really aggro and just go in with the Rabblemaster here, but I think that's just incorrect. Slamming the Blood Moon probably greatly limits my opponent's options. And then I'll play the Rabblemaster next turn and go from there. A Grim Monolith. All right, that's a shame. That's a shame. So my opponent doesn't have a Thought Knots here, potentially, or they could have cast it. I actually think I might win this game with Grindstone. I have this Fiery Confluence in hand, which next turn I will probably want to use to blow up the Grim Monolith, especially if it doesn't get tapped. Alright, my opponent is playing Wastes. That's really good to know. How bad is this for me? All is Dust. It's not the worst. So I can Fiery Confluence, blow up this, deal a couple points of damage, and then play a Painter and have them dead next turn. Alright. Destroy this. Destroy this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think it matters. Everything's blue. I'll let you live in fear of Pyroblast. Alright, come on, Painter Servant. Get there. The one of Grindstone that I reluctantly boarded in. Let it happen. In paper, your opponent literally taps 7 mana to cry. I like that. I like that a lot. My opponent's doing something big and scary. Are you just expecting me to not activate this card? I did it! I have painted. If nothing else, the stream is a success because we actually won a match using Painter. Never mind the fact that I actually have to win the next one in order to break even. But it is what it is. I am an artist. I have painted. I will be keeping this hand. This hand is great. Turn 1 Chalice into a turn 2 Moon effect. No worries, Rob. Hope you're well. We're playing against D&T. Presumably. I mean, it could be something else, but, you know, Planes Go. Usually pretty indicative of D&T. Alright. Force Pitch Preordain. We're probably actually going to be playing against Miracles, then. Well, my opponent has missed a land drop, so you bet I am jamming this Blood Moon. Oh, good luck to you. I'm actually on the job hunt myself currently. Not sure where I'm going, what I'm doing yet. In process of figuring that out. Dataco, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the content. If this is... So, like, this could be Miracles. It could also be a Stoneblade deck. I don't think I'm going to play this out regardless. I don't want to lose everything to a Terminus. However, I will just play out the Ensnaring Bridge. If my opponent is a Stoneblade deck and they have True Name Nemesis, I will be glad to have preemptively played that out. Oh, great. I'm glad you love the website, too. There's going to be new content up sometime next week, probably. I've got someone doing a tournament report for me. Again, I don't think I need to play out more cards. One of the people who top-aided the GP, Skipper, is going to be doing a tournament report for me. And we're also going to do an interview. So he is going to make an appearance on the stream next Monday, and we're going to kind of have a Q&A session. Yeah, really, really happy about that. I approached him with the idea, and he was totally on board with it. Yeah, when your opponent keeps the hand on the strength of a Force of Will, plays pretty good for me. Okay, so if I assume this is Miracles, which, you know, not a safe assumption, it could also be a Stoneblade deck. But if I assume it's Miracles, I'd probably want something like this. And if it is Miracles, I probably don't want my bridges. I don't want Magus of the Moon. You gotta bring in the Grindstone, because you're a good painter. Aw, shucks. So, Chalice is really good against Miracles, but I guess if I'm doing this, then I board that out. Probably trim on my Blood Moon effects. Maybe I'll cut all of them. Like, it's nice to, like, not lose the cities. It's nice to not take damage from the Ancient Tombs, but maybe card quality matters more than anything else here. And maybe I drop, like, a Chrome Mox. That all seems reasonable to me. Although maybe having this much big, clunky stuff around without the Blood Moons to stabilize the mana base is a bit much. Yeah, Chrome Mox is also probably worse if I'm boarding in this many colorless cards, actually. So, like, I'm bringing in 12 colorless cards, I'm boarding out 5 colorless cards. So maybe my plan is no longer to go fast, but to trade resources. In which case, I don't actually want any of those. And I actually just want more moons. Again, to, like, stabilize my mana base rather than anything else. Like, I'm just worried about this being a dead card. If I'm on the play, I'll probably bring the Chrome Moxen back in. Yeah, I will keep this hand. I have my own Force of Will ready to go. Alright, now I don't. So I kind of want to wait to play Trinisphere and do it on turn 2 with Force of Will, Simian Spirit Guide ready to go. Is that crazy? Doesn't feel crazy. You can have that end of turn Brainstorm. It'll be a little sad if my opponent untaps in Stoneforge Mystics. But the Preordain means that they're much more likely to just be on Miracles. Alright, so they're on Rip Helm Miracles. You got it, friend. You got it. Come on, Force of Will me. I want to fight. Aw, fuck yeah. Red Force of Will. Oh man, they don't have anything. So I'm going to go ahead and play out that land so that if I draw a land, I have the possibility of playing 2 spells next turn. Yeah, I can't imagine that we lose now with, like, Trinisphere in play and a huge clock like this. Alright, so next turn I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to go ahead and get a Phyrexian Revoker here. That may look a little weird, but if my opponent, like, does something super stupid, like Ancient Tomb into Helm or something like that, I will be quite glad that I grabbed this Revoker. Get some nice Imperial Recruiter value here. Grab the Space Laser, just in case something goes wrong. But again, I don't really imagine how we can lose from here. For our opponent, like, I actually feel bad. Like, our opponent did not really play Magic this set. Like, they got mana screwed both games. Like, part of that had to be, like, the hands that they kept. And, like, the end of turn brainstorm that our opponent did on turn 1 that locked them was brutal as well. So, that one's at least partially on them. Alright, so what do I think of this deck? This deck's very strange. So, like, we cashed, we were 3-2, but, like, we technically lost to Goblin Lackey, so it was really a 2-3. I don't know that this is better than traditional Red Prison. It jukes and, like, bobs and weaves in some strange ways. Like, this package is totally reasonable. And, like, with 3 Grindstones, 2 Painter Servants, and the 3 Recruiters, like, you can actually find this somewhat consistently. At least by mono-red deck standards. And I don't claim that I really know how I was supposed to sideboard for some of these matchups, but I felt like my in-out numbers more or less worked. And, like, for a matchup like Miracles, even though I'm approaching it in a very different way, like, I have a ton of value and a ton of just, like, scary stuff on the battlefield. So, like, I can conceptually see how this deck list would have worked out for a big event. Again, I don't know that this is going to be better than just, like, playing a straight Painter deck or better than a straight Red Prison deck, but, like, this probably got people good, because this is not something that people would have seen coming, you know. Now that people have seen the deck list, maybe some of that surprise factor is gone. But this is not an unreasonable deck to play in any capacity, and I'd be willing to give this deck another go sometime. Well, it looks like tonight's stream was a very short one. I don't think I want to start up another league with this deck. I think I'm just going to go ahead and call it here. I'm looking for donation deck lists, folks. I've got, you know, a card hoarder loan account. I'm going to have access to all of those brand new war cards in just a couple of days. So I think, like, Monday's stream will be the first time those cards will be legal. And if you're looking to see something tested out, if you've got some deck idea, you know, you don't have the means to play it on Magic Online, you know, hit me up with a donation, and I'll be happy to try that stuff out. Otherwise, I'll just start mucking around with some of the new cards as I see fit. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I'm going to turn you over to my friend Arkin now, who is probably playing a Painter deck list. Well, that seems mighty appropriate. Cheers, folks, and have a good night. If you haven't followed already and you enjoy Legacy content, I'm streaming 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Well, Arkin just hosted me. So I'm going to have to ship those viewers somewhere else. So I think I'm going to have to ship those viewers over to Bosch and Roll then.